Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington, and I'm joined today by two new friends of mine, Rosalynn and Ernestine of My Perfect Wedding Assistant, aka Bride's Bitch. And why don't you guys introduce yourselves? And thank you so much for coming in. Who are you guys?
Thank you. My name is Rosalynn, and I started the business. And
I am Mama Ernestine, Rosalynn's mother, and we decided to put our expertise together in business after dealing with it ourselves with their own wedding. So we're excited.
Yes.
Awesome. So this all kind of came about because of your wedding.
Yes. So when I had my wedding, I never even heard of day of coordination. I only heard of wedding planners, and that just wasn't in our budget. So when I had a friend come to me asking if I can be like her wedding assistant, and I was like, wait a minute, what we're doing, there has to be some type of business for it. And I found out about day of coordination, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so brilliant. I wish we would have had that. And then the Bride's Bitch was born. So
And so then how'd your mom get involved in that?
So what happened is she's my mom, she's my best friend, so I tell her everything. So she was so excited and was like, oh, I want to start helping out. And then people fall in love with her. She's known as Mama Ernestine to everybody. So then I was like, okay, you just have to be like a lead coordinator. And so she quit her job of
14 years
in
the corporate world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were you doing before?
I was I was a trainer and worked for DHL and was training, did that for 14 years. And we really wanted to kick this off. The goal was I would work full time and then do this, but it was so new to us. I was like, you know what, if I'm going to go for it, I got to go for it. And they offered a severance package. I took it. That was my way out. And here we are today. Best decision I've ever made.
And how long ago was that?
That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
Was that a scary decision for you guys to do that?
Yes.
Very scary. Very scary. For me, it was hard because if the business didn't take off like I wanted, I didn't want that in the back of her head, like, man, I wish I would have just stayed with my job. So, and of course, as her daughter, I know she believes in me and everything, but still, it was just a huge amount of pressure on my shoulders too, because I'm like, I have to make sure this takes off so we can make sure we have, money to pay our living expenses. So luckily it did, but still.
That's awesome. And so just why don't you guys give me a little rundown first off about what exactly you guys do, what your focus is in terms of weddings and planning and coordination and that kind of thing.
Yes, so we specialize in day of coordination. So we start working with the bride about 6 to 8 weeks before her wedding. We basically become kind of like the project manager of their wedding. We're the point of contact for their vendors. We go through all their contracts, create their timeline, their layout. We also do full setup and cleanup on the day of their wedding as well, so they don't have to worry about that. That's kind of our huge selling point. Most day of coordinators, the setup and cleanup is kind of iffy. There's some strict stipulations to that, but we do bring in a team and take care of the full setup and cleanup of the wedding.
Yeah, our number one focus and goal, or mission, shall I say, is let family and guest be guest. And anyone can try to sell me, no, I've got family that will help, and no, my mom, my aunt. It's not realistic. And the one thing that we know and what I go back and think about my daughter and son-in-law's wedding, Ryan, we don't remember half of it because technically Mama was acting as a day of coordinator and had no idea. And it's so imperative because the goal is that it's a one-time shot. And I'd give anything to go back. That would have been the one vendor I would have paid the most money for, is to have someone come in and run that. At the end of the night, our family said, we'll help. They were out the door. And I just remember us packing everything up. I was exhausted, it's one thing that the best investment anyone can do get someone to help with that.
Yeah, and I would echo that. We had a wedding on Saturday and they had a coordinator, and it was the same thing. She's running and packing up stuff and doing all that work. And meanwhile, then, you can see all the, mom, dad, friends, family, everybody, they're not having to deal with all that. She's dealing with the caterer. She's packing up stuff, even just the packing up and kind of getting everything situated. I mean, I remember when we got married too, it was like, what do you do with these gifts and what do you do with, right? I mean, it's all this kind of stuff people don't think about.
Right. The bride and groom shouldn't be bombarded with that. And then poor mom, where does it go? Enjoy the party. They should be drinking, eating, and having a good time.
Yes.
So this all kind of came about because of your wedding. Why don't you tell me about that? How did that go?
Well, I was a bridezilla, I think I can say.
Yes, you were.
But, it's so interesting with weddings because, you can go online, you can Google things, you can go on the Knot or Wedding Wire, but you still have no clue what to do. And that's where I do wish that I had a day of coordinator, because there was just so many things I didn't know and I wasn't confident in. So for me, it was frustrating. So who do I take that frustration out? My mother, my bridesmaids. But I mean, it was a beautiful day. Don't get me wrong, beautiful day. But there's just things now as a coordinator that I look at that I wish I would have done differently. Like our venue, we didn't have a long access time to our venue. So our reception was really short. We were rushing to clean things up in time. And then again, we didn't have a cleanup crew. So it's like my mom packing stuff up, but I wanted my mom with me. And it was just all chaotic. So
how do you think it went, Mom?
It was beautiful. I mean, at the end of the day, it was executed. The one thing that I look at is she had a vision of what she wanted her wedding to be like. And this is the other part, why having a third party, a coordinator come into play. Normally they have a vision, but as a mother, we want to put our input and we want to put our spin on it. And sometimes you bring in all those family members and you're trying to get them to help. The bride and the groom's vision gets lost because family thinks they know what is better. And you spend all that money and you put all that time and effort, and it can be disappointing. And so it went great, but I do look back at what she wanted. We kind of failed her on that part because, again, us being family, we don't care what she wants. Put that centerpiece there and deal with it, and it's just how it is. So, the reality of it is they can have their vision, but having a coordinator or a third party come in, we don't have any investment in it. And that's what's nice about it. When that bride and groom is telling us what they want, we're there to give that to them. There's no other type of emotions or investment. And we really are there to make the best decision for them. Like Rosalynn said, if they have a short access and you're telling me that, hey, we like to party, we're going to be able to bring that to you and say, okay, you got to think about cleanup. You got to think about, now we need to think about where we can adjust and make sure we're executing your vision. And that's what we missed. And we just didn't have that. So, but it was beautiful. We had a great time. But if we would do it all over again, number one thing, have one.
Yeah, and I agree with that too, that even just having that moderator, like if you want something and, the family and with our planner, we could just kind of throw her under the bus then and be
Absolutely.
like, hey, that's what we got to do. It's just nice to kind of have that where it's not these butting heads where you just blame them or you say, well, let's ask her and let's ask him and see what they want to do. Where'd you guys get married at?
Thornwood Castle in Lakewood.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And when was that back in?
That was 2012.
Yeah. 2012, March
2012.
Yeah, March.
Yeah. I love Thornwood. That's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful venue.
Yeah. So you guys had fun?
Oh, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, but the day just went by so fast. And that's one thing I always tell our couples is the day goes by so fast, so fast. So I wish that we would have kind of just took a moment and breathed it all in rather than just going. But overall, it was a beautiful, beautiful wedding. So
then, so you go through this process and you figure out, okay, well, this is something that we needed, we could have done better, whatever. So then how did the seed start then for starting your own business? Like, did you have a history of that? What were you doing before? Did you have any experience?
Yeah. So what I did is in 2016, I started My Perfect Assistant, which is like a virtual assistant, personal assistant business. And one of my friends, coworkers, she was like, hey, do you do like personal assistants for weddings? And I was like, no, but I can, like, needing to make some money. So she hired me like a week before her wedding and like basically just had me come in and figure everything out. Like on the day of, they didn't know what decor was going to be set up. They didn't know what side the bride was supposed to stand on. They didn't know how their timeline should go. So I was just like thrown into it and was just trying to make it all work. It did. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole nother business that I can start. This is that day of coordination. So that's how it came about, is kind of that coworker that kind of opened my eyes. And then when I was thinking about her wedding, I started thinking about my wedding, and I was like, man, if I would have had someone like me to come in on the day of, no ties to family, no drama, like that would have been so ideal. So, yeah.
But I mean, the idea of kind of starting the business, I mean, where did that come from? I mean, even doing the My Perfect Assistant and all that, I mean, what kind of spawned all that? I mean,
Mama has to laugh.
What?
How you got her own business is quite. Tell the story how you started your own business.
With My Perfect Assistant? Mm-hmm. I'm missing something.
So how she started her own business, she worked for other employees, and she was not the type of person to great at it, but she would have those. She's an entrepreneur. Rosalynn is an overachiever. She's an entrepreneur. And when she would work, she'd get these great jobs. But for her, it was like, I need to do it my way. And so she would leave, She never left anyone cold, but it would just be, okay, we're going through another job. Yep, I'm applying for another one. And her last one, she finally took the plunge and said, I need to be my own boss and I need to make it happen.
Yes, that's what you're getting at. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I love being my own boss. I mean, don't get me wrong, having your own business definitely has its struggles and challenges, but I could never go back and work in corporate or work for somebody again. Just the idea of just being able to build my own brand, my own company, that was something that I never really thought about. But once the idea was brought to my head, I was like, wait a minute, I have to go for this. So you're right.
Well, I'm glad we got Mom here giving
right? I know.
Scoop. I mean, this would have been the podcast would have been over right there.
It's so funny because I was, again, as we're best friends, I'd get that phone call, me at work, Mom, I'm going to quit. I can't do this. I need to move on. And we finally said, let's really sit back and think about what it is you want to do. Again, she went to school, got her degree, just, it's like she's an entrepreneur. So it's great to see her really take those ideas and expand them and take them where I know she could take them. And here we are today. Again, what was it? When we decided to do the wedding coordination business and we're thinking about the name, she calls me in the middle of the night and she says, Mom, I've got our name. What? My Perfect Wedding Assistant, AK Bride's Bitch. And I scream because me coming from the corporate world, literally, I'm like, no, there's no way we can have that name. And I slept on it and I woke up the next morning and she said, Mom, think about our personalities. That's who we are. Mm-hmm. And we didn't want to come into a business being fake. We are as real as it comes. We're professional. We have all that, but we want to keep it real. And I slept on it and I said, you know what? We'll go with it, but we have to own it 100%. And that's one thing we have done. We tell people we don't sugarcoat it.
No, I love it. I, as someone too that had difficulties applying for jobs and just finding something that I thought would fit, me, I totally like understand that. Where I just kept looking and applying when I was here back. I used to work in California, and it's like, finally, I just made my own thing because it's, sometimes it is easier just to, even though it's not easier to run your own business, but it's trying to fit the mold. It might be easier just to make your own mold. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Talk about kinds of the clients that you attract. I mean, this people, I try to be pretty authentic too. I respect that and appreciate that. So what kinds of clients and do you find like you attract?
I think with the name, it does kind of filter out our clients because don't get me wrong, when we do wedding shows, we do have a few people that kind of raise their eyebrow at our posters and signage. But the brides that we have been blessed to work with have been absolutely amazing to the point where it's not just us leaving with them as our client, it's us leaving with them as family. We're able to build those bonds. And it's not just we're working with a couple, we work with mom and dad and uncle and brothers and sisters. So it really becomes like us adding more to our family. And that's what we absolutely love about it. So I think we like to kind of attract the fun bunch of people that like to party and have a good time, which we don't mind. So
Exactly. We're going to, whoever you are, we're going to give you what you want. But there is definitely, I think you're right, it filters out. And those that give us that look, we know that that's probably not going to be the match or the relationship that, that's going to be 100%. And that's what we love about it. It definitely filters out and knowing, oh, I love that. Oh, we love it, and that's the vibe we want.
That's funny. Back a couple years ago, I used to have one of the top videos on our site was, it starts off and it's all pretty and whatever. And then it cuts, shows a dress, whatever. And the bride's getting ready. And she's like opening up this card and it like cuts. And the photographer, Jessica, is like, oh, Elizabeth, like your retainer's still in. And she's like, oh, and it's this funny moment and she takes it out and she laughs and she's like that definitely needs to be in the video. And I left that in for a long time for a similar idea to you guys, where it is the kind of that, not a hard filter, but that soft kind of filter where like, if you watch that and laugh, then we're probably going to be on the same page. Correct. Whereas if you watch that and thought, oh my gosh, how could you ever do, then maybe we're not going to be the right fit. Right.
Yes.
Talk about, where there are, lots of different, planning options or coordination. Talk about the importance of finding that right fit with the people that are going to be kind of helping with the day.
Oh, it's definitely important. That's a huge factor because like we said, our biggest thing is it's not our vision, it's our couple's vision. So if someone's coming to us and they have no idea like what their vision is, well, we're probably going to want to take a little bit more time to spend with them to help them figure out that vision and not make it our vision. It's really important that it is about the couple and their day. So we do, I think that's one thing we actually really strive at is with the couples that we attract. It's usually those ones that do have that vision. They know what they want. They just need someone to implement it on the day of. But with that also becomes the personalities. So like Mama, she's very fun, loud, charismatic. So if you're looking for someone that's a little more, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say confined and constrained, but I mean, she's not going to come in a suit with a clipboard. Our thing is you want to go out for a beer, you want to go out for a glass of wine. Like that's how we usually like to do our consultations. So we do try to keep it a lot more like low key. We're not uptight. We want our couples to be comfortable talking to us about whatever it is. We hear a lot of family drama stories because people feel so open to talk with us about it. But that's what we want. We want people to feel comfortable talking with us and build that trust. I think that's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's funny. I can't imagine. I would have to think of a lot of parents that have helped, do a wedding, pay for a wedding, kind of go through all that, that would never want to do this ever again. And here you, went through all that, and now you've created this, it's your life now. Was that obviously, supporting your kids or whatever, but was that, were you nervous to kind of jump back into that world after having kind of gone through it and moved past it?
That's a good question.
That's a good one. I didn't. I've always been, I'm always that type of person. People come to me for things and to fix things, and it makes sense. And even as we've done as many weddings as we have, I get a lot of moms that, the brides being bridezilla, and I've got the mom crying on the phone, and I'm like, you know what? We know the kids are going through their thing, but mama got you. Guess what? Not only did the bride get a bitch, mama gets a bitch too. She get mama bitch, and mama takes care of her. So I sell that, and it's a good relationship. I have built some great relationships with parents because I get it. They're spending all this money. They are just as stressed and trying to make sure that their children are getting the dream and the vision that they want. And sometimes the kids kind of forget about that and not realizing that the parents fit the bill. So the nice thing that's what I love about us. We're able to really draw that line and filter. She can cater to the kids because they understand that. And then I can also bring that filter in with, well, let's look at, we've had it where the mom wants to, walk the son down, or I want to give a toast, or they want to be a special role. And of course, the kids are like, no, I don't want them now. Well, now hold on, let's find a spot that we can give mama and daddy to do that doesn't steal the spotlight, but we're not also pushing them out. So I love that. And that's what I feel I do bring to the table, that balance and making sure everyone gets the best of the both worlds and enjoy the day. And I love that.
I think that is a great dynamic, like you said, where you can kind of deal with the brides and grooms, and you can deal with it to kind of have that, different, ages obviously, but just different mindsets where you went, you lived through it the one way and you lived through it the other way.
Absolutely.
I totally know what you mean with like the family. We had I don't know if I've ever said this before, but we had, my wife's parents were like terrified to give a toast. And they were obviously helping to pay for the wedding. And so they wanted to do it way earlier than, would probably be, I don't know, like traditional, just because they wanted to kind of get done with it. And then that snowballed. So then my wife's sister wanted to give hers early. And then my brother wanted to give it, so then it ended up being like, we had these 6 toasts, but it is like about trying to, like you said, accommodate where they're spending that money, kind of getting where they're coming from, trying to respect those wishes. Cause it is hard when you're planning, when it's the bride and groom, and then you're like, well, no, there is actually, the pocketbook.
There's the pocketbook, and they're just as important. And I get it. Cause trust me, we went there. The money was like, oh my God, who's paying for this? Oh my God, who's paying for this? And so absolutely, to make sure that balance is there, that everybody is feeling good about the night and their roles and what they do, that mom and dad is not just a pocketbook, but they're a part of this special moment, and that is so important. It makes the night even more spectacular.
So I want to talk a little bit about finishing up about pre kind of wedding stuff or pre-company stuff with you guys. What kind of work were you doing before? Anything that kind of got you used to what you're doing now, or do you feel like you took anything from your past life into what you're working on now?
I was in the medical administrative field for like 6 or 7 years, and I loved it. But my hobby was party planning. I love to throw parties. Like anytime I can put a theme to a party, I would do it. Like if grandma was like, oh, let's have the family over for dinner, I'm like, let's do a Western theme. Like everything just had to have a theme to it. So finding out about wedding coordination and design and everything, I was like, oh man, that's kind of like, I didn't know it at the time, but it's kind of a passion. So that's how it kind of worked out. But I think too, the admin side is huge, because that's what a lot of people miss when starting a business. Is it's not just going out and doing whatever service or product you're offering, but there's all the back end work. So that's what has really, really helped me kind of give us that balance and help us grow, because I do have the administrative experience.
Yeah. So what did you go to school for?
I went to school for IT and business management.
That's fascinating. What was your original plan? Just doing the medical administration stuff?
I was all over the place, because like I was in the medical field, but I wanted to be a teacher. That's like that was my ultimate goal. I always said, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. And then I found out with just admins, what I loved about the admin side was the customer service part of it, kind of, and feeling that feeling of being needed. I love that. Like, oh, we can't operate today without Roz. So like, I love that feeling. But I'm like, well, I can just take that and do my own business, because then the business won't be able to operate without me for a while until I get it all set up. But going back to it, no, I just think that I'm happy with like my past jobs, because I feel like I learned so much from every job, even though it was like a lot of jobs, like she's not over exaggerating. But each job I learned something, whether I was there for 2 years or 2 days, everything was a learning experience. So I'm grateful for those.
It's interesting too, because as she started the business, my experience was the operations, and that's what I did a lot when I worked for the company, training. And as she's admitted, running a business is really hard, and you get all these ideas in place, but you have to get these processes and the admin and get it set up. And that's where, as well, we kind of came in. I started coming in, helping with her employees. Let's look at your processes. What can we do? And it's amazing how we've fine-tuned it, and we're really getting it to where this is how we want it to be. And then it was even better when I was able to come on full time and leave, my day job and be a part of that. We've done several different ideas. We did a handy assistant job. We got to give Ryan, her husband, props because her husband has been there 100%. Whatever you want, honey. So we tried that,
He's our man bitch. He does all the arbor building. Now he's into the decor thing. So every wedding, we're always like, no, I want it this way. No, it looks better this way. He thinks he has like the magic touch now.
He's even coordinating his own weddings.
Yeah, he is.
He's coordinating his own weddings, but bringing all those skills in, what we all have in the family, it really has helped it to mold it and bring that together, because the admin part is the difficult part of it. It's trying to make sure those processes and how you're wanting that vision to go is being executed in that way, just like we do for a wedding. We have to have that down.
No, it's hard. And I mean, and even like the info that I have to have going into a wedding is, a small fraction compared to, what a coordinator would. But, I too, like, I feel like I've gotten, in the last couple of years, the process is really down. And like, I'll go back and look at like old, weddings and stuff, like to post something again and take, I'm like, I don't even have a vendor list for this. or like, who is I didn't have any, I'm like, did I just have a start time? Like, how do I, compared to like what I have now, it's like, where was this wedding? Like, what is, I just have a lot more info now, but I know what you mean, where it's like trying to fine tune those processes.
Absolutely.
And that's like what, one of the things I try to sell for people too, like, is we're going to, like, I'm sure you guys are like, we have these things in place now. We've done this a lot, and we can kind of get you guys through.
Absolutely.
Talk about, you were doing like operations and stuff before. Was that in a big company, was that more or less stressful than now?
Less stressful. It was less stressful because the things that I find here is, before, someone told me what to do and I executed it. And now it's more of, we really have to impress that client. There's a lot more. I'm going to be realistic. You working for a company, I don't do it right, it's really not my bad. I'm still going to get paid whether or not. I may get the that bad review, you should have done this, you should have done that. Doing this though, I got to sell, because we want that good review. We need that review. That's what's going to help sell the business and keep it. So it's definitely more stressful because I've got to get the details right. Got to make sure that the communication is going well. So absolutely, this is hands down.
And you have to work with me.
Yeah, and then I got to work with this one.
No, that kind of segues me to my next question, where they always say, like, don't work with your spouse or don't work with your family. And you've kind of, failed on both those fronts, right? When you're talking about having your husband help out and then obviously working with your mom. Talk about kind of that dynamic. Do you guys ever get sick of each other? And maybe wait till the end of the podcast if you guys are going to get in a fight answering this question.
No.
You could start.
When we first started, we did good, but there was definitely that, it was that nervousness and intimidation. How do I tell you what I'm feeling without hurting your feelings? Or if we did speak up, you knew that you would tick the person off, because then you would hear was click, 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 click. We're not talking. And over the years, with any business, and we had to, again, you hear that motto, don't mix
Work and
family. It can be done, but it's that open communication. And trust me, we've had those conversations where, okay, we need to have a meeting. We need to talk about this, and really respect is what it came down to. And us being able to really sit down and say, well, this is how I felt when we, didn't want to go. And that's, I think, what has really helped us is there were times at the beginning we were missing the respect value. And then we realized that. And it was able to come back and say, hold on, we need to reevaluate this. And I think that's what's made us so successful now. And we can have, we're doing the process this way. Yeah. And we can literally have the conversation where it doesn't become an argument that you just want to do it your way and you just want to, So we've definitely overcome that. And so can family work together? Yes, but it really boils down to that respect.
What do you think?
Well, in the beginning, it was a hot mess. We're just going to be honest right there, because it was a hot mess. It was just because we all didn't know what we were doing. We were all new to this. So frustration and temper was there. Ryan thought one thing, she thought another. Sometimes I was in the middle. It kind of was like a monkey in the middle, but the positions would change. It could be any one of us in the middle.
Or you and Ryan would go, and I'd be, well, wait a minute, look at this. So I
think our first year, it was really hard. But I think what helped is after our first year experiencing the weddings that we had, and all of us finally realizing, hey, we have a business out of this and we can actually make something out of this. So we're like, okay, let's sit down and figure out our roles, figure out the boundaries, figure out that respect. And that's what really kind of brought us all together, because we finally realized this isn't just a hobby. This isn't just a side job. This can be what pays for our bills. So that kind of made us kind of buckle down and get things straightened out. Yeah. But I can honestly say it is the best thing being able to work with my mom and my husband, because they are my best friends, and they tell me when I'm wrong and they praise me when I'm right. So it's nice to have that balance. I do appreciate that.
When did that kind of realization go from when, like, okay, this is something that's, somewhat viable, to like, this is something that we can actually roll with? How did that, do you kind of remember that? Was there like a light bulb moment? Or?
It was probably the first year.
Yeah, 2016.
The first year we did weddings, we worked for peanuts. We worked literally, when I say we worked for peanuts, and at that point, I didn't have no income coming in. We were like, oh my God, how is this going to really even happen? So we worked for peanuts, and we really realized, though, we needed the confidence. And just like you said, I can go back and look at a bride's folder from 2 years ago, and there's like, how come there's nothing in here? There's just this one timeline where I'm like, well, where's all their information at? Who was their caterer, Where now we have a book and we know where we've grown. So definitely that first year, I think because we all, again, it was so new to us all. And then we were able to really sit down and say, like Rosalynn said, where are we going with this? Is this going to be true income? And can we make? And we realized we could. And that was really the opening. The first year was rough.
Wedding season.
Season was rough. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it is tough where we're crossing kind of that, even doing it, largely full time, but still kind of having alternate incomes and stuff, and kind of trying to get finally over that? I mean, did you just figure like, we're just going for this as hard as we can, or was there any trepidations at all?
I think we kind of just said we're going to go for it. I really think that's what it came down to. And it was just like, okay, let's invest the money. Let's invest the savings into getting the website up. We got our first little office space in downtown Tacoma because we're just like, it'd be nice to have a place where we can meet the brides instead of still going to coffee shops and everything. So we kind of just said, you know, because my husband was working full time. So thank God for him because he was able to support us financially while we're trying to build this venture. But yeah, I think it just came down to us all being like, okay, are we all in 100%? Are we going to give this everything we have? Because if we fail, we want to make sure that we did everything in our power not to, so that way there are no regrets. We didn't want any what ifs. What ifs? What if we did this instead? What if we did this? Let's just put everything in and go for it.
And it was great because I think from that too, that's how we changed our vision with the business. And we started the decor and including decor package. And then we, you know, we were literally in a small space, literally no windows. It was a shared office, and we had the decor down in the garage in like a dungeon. And I'll never forget, we took the first couple downstairs, and they probably thought that we were going to kill them. You know,
it was bad.
It was bad. And, you know, and it was like an epiphany that, okay, this isn't how we can operate. Are we really going to take this business to the next level? Absolutely. And we made sacrifices and made it happen. And we moved to another space. That was great. We finally got a window. It was actually a front door that couples could come in. We weren't having to go to a coffee shop. But we had all this decor in there. So when they would come, it was quite crowded because normally when they come to pick out the decor, they want to bring moms and they'll bring aunts. So you've got like 8 people in here and stuff's knocking down. And we were just like, okay. So then even from that, looking at how we've grown, we said, okay, we got to take it to the next level and get a bigger space. Of course, that's more money going out. Mm-hmm. But we said, you know what? If we're going to go big, we're going to go for it. We're going to go big. And we got another space. We now have a beautiful showroom. The excitement to see couples come in and wow, literally in a showroom like you'd go to a rental place, they're looking at what they get to use. It's just amazing. And that accomplishment, it was well worth it.
Mm-hmm. What was the biggest thing? And it could be the storefront, but something that you underestimated in terms of the importance or challenges. Like for mine, I always say like, you know, taxes and getting like my accountant in order. That was like my big like, oh crap. And then I kind of got that. Was it getting that storefront, and what was something that you thought would be easier that wasn't?
Oh,
the money.
Yeah. It is that the management of the money, because you think, you know, we have family all the time. It's like, well, how much do you usually charge? And it's like, that doesn't really matter, because when you take out your business expenses, you take out your payroll, it's like, you're really not left with a lot. So just being able to manage the money, to understand my numbers, because that was something I had no idea about, was numbers, profit and loss. That was all like completely new to me, and I'm still learning that stuff. But, you know, getting a CPA and having someone to kind of help me manage that was definitely probably, I think was the hardest part for me, is understanding that. That's really hard.
And you've done great, because now even going into this year, the mindset is way different, where we're really looking at, okay, what were our expenses? What was our revenue? What was our profit? You know, what we're really seeing the light. And again, as I say, it takes, you know, you start a business, everyone thinks that coming into a business, oh, you own a business and no, honey, we started off working for peanuts, and we're still there. We're still growing. But I think that's been the biggest learning, is really organizing and keeping the business aspect in order, and understanding those profit and loss.
Yeah, I was talking to Ryan on the podcast last week, who you guys know, and
Yes.
that's what we had talked about too. Was nobody gets this just the amount of money, the output that it is, like you said, like getting the storefront. And I wanted to ask too about the decor. Do you guys have to kind of manage that as well?
Correct.
So how does that work?
Ooh. We're still trying to figure that out. No, no, as our inventory is growing, I mean, yeah, we're the ones who manage it. So luckily now we do have, our team is growing, so that helps out a lot. Aubrey, who's kind of our admin assistant, she's also a coordinator. She's been kind of helping with keeping our inventory updated, getting it all on the website and stuff, because what happens is everyone's like, when we tell brides, oh, you get access to our decor inventory. Okay, well, what is that? If it's just a few tea lights and, one type of linen, I don't know if that's really going to be worth it. But when they come in and they're able to see everything, it's like, oh my gosh, Hobby Lobby on steroids. Like, That's what we try to make it. So, that's kind of been the other thing that we're working on right now, is trying to keep our inventory management organized, and also how we're going to grow that side, because eventually we would like to just do decor rentals, and you don't have to book a coordination package with us. You can just rent items from us. So that's kind of the next thing, entrepreneur mind going right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we started this, when we would get weddings, and of course the brides would bring their decor, so some went big and they had a lot of decor, and you were just like, oh my God, boxes, no labels, and our heads would just spin. And then, of course, they'd go buy this stuff and say, well, I don't have any use for it. Do you want it? Mm-hmm. So that was kind of how we started it, and taking, okay, yeah, we'll take them. And then we'd go to some that wouldn't have a lot. So we started packing little things, just stuff to help enhance their decor if they didn't have enough. And then they'd be like, oh, where did that come? Oh, that's beautiful. And then we realized, wait a minute, we're kind of on to something here. And from there, we've just grown and grown. And then we said, let's just start throwing the decor. The biggest goal behind that is, number one, it saves the couple money. The decor can get so expensive, and you're using it one time. Now they've got to worry about, how am I going to get rid of it? Or I got to worry about selling it. The other big issue last year was the biggest issue was somebody's got to pack all that stuff and take it home. We had parents in the parking lot fighting and arguing because they couldn't get it all in their car. Mm-hmm. So, one thing we sell is, that's another stress thing that your family don't have to worry about, and who's taking it home. If they do it right and book with us, they should come with one little box that's like the little specialty things that they want, but let us take all that stuff home and not worry about that. It's huge and priceless, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the huge thing. I do think decor rental is so important, because it's like every day I see like 1,000 people on Facebook like trying to sell. Oh, I have 500 of these little. I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, I'm a guy. I don't know what all this stuff is, but I see it and I'm like, gosh, like that's just a pain in the ass to try to get back like $20 or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you just are able to kind of rent it, and especially like you said, have somebody kind of be able to pack it in and out. Is that what would you say are common like pitfalls that you see, and they could be your clients or other wedding clients that kind of go through? Like an example would be like kind of buying a lot of decor stuff when you don't need to buy. I mean, do you guys see some stuff that you're continually educating people about that you wish that people knew?
Oh.
We only have so much time.
Well, here's the advice, especially for the DIYs. Sometimes they think more is better. And, if you don't have a vision or a theme, that's where it becomes, they're buying so much. When we had a bride that 3 truckloads of stuff. Literally, and it took us 2 to 3 hours to clean that venue up because they had so much stuff. More is not always better. So keeping that you can have elegance and you can have, but sometimes getting them to stop and think. Not only that, you go and spend all this money on the venue, And some of these venues are beautiful, but then folks want to come in and sprinkle glitter all over it. And it's just like, where are you going with this? You just spent all this money on this beautiful venue. Use the venue, let the venue speak for itself and that subtleness. So it's a hard one. If we could, if anything, we and that's what we try to sell with the decor and letting them know that we can still give you what you're wanting, but it doesn't always have to be more.
And sometimes I think too, especially now with like Pinterest, because a lot of weddings and brides want to go that DIY style, which, hey, I'm all about it. I love DIY. I love budget saving, all of that. But sometimes it's actually even more affordable. Yeah.
It's more
expensive to do the DIY side rather than if you would have just hired a florist and had them do a simple centerpiece. So I'm just like, because then you have to think about, okay, who's going to put those centerpieces together? Who's going to transport them? Whereas if you just would have hired that florist, they could have done all that for you. So it could have saved lots of time and money.
Yep.
No, I think I've said this before on here, but my buddy Dominic, I shot his wedding a couple years ago, and same thing. And they were like, he just was really conscious about saving, and God bless him. And I didn't even think they were going to hire us to do the video, but like I saw him that morning, and he's getting ready. I was like, oh hey man, how's it going? He's like, well, I'm really tired because we were up till like 3 a.m, putting together the corsages and stuff because they wanted to do, and so whether it's going to cost you, it's either going to cost you time or money.
Correct.
And so you just need to kind of figure out what's more important.
Yep.
And it could, like you said, end up costing you both if you end up screwing it up and having to, spend all this time.
And the stressfulness, it's already stressed enough because you want this day to go perfect. So, if we can tell anyone, think back, and we always try to ask couples, what's important to you? Mm-hmm. And that's the big key. Is the core the big thing? Okay, then maybe that's where all your focus is. But you really have to find that balance of what do I really want from this and what's important to me? And that's going to be the key to the success because it's all stressful. But when you're trying to make every aspect of it and it's all important, there's just no way. You're trying to please 100 to 150 people. There's just no way. You have to, we're going to bring you back down to reality. Mm-hmm. We're going to bring you back down to reality. That's the big key.
Yeah, when you were talking about the less is more, I had shot a wedding and I was thinking, I was like, I don't know because I didn't have any of the info like we were talking about before. I was like, who was but they had, it was like vintage ambiance had just like dropped off like her entire, but it wasn't them. It was like they had just dropped off their entire, truckload of all this stuff. And like they had moss and like books and, couches and if I had 2 hours, I couldn't have shot all the different decor things, let alone people being there, seeing it, right?
Yes.
Where if I'm sitting at the table, I'm only seeing the two things that are in front of me, and so I just was like, I just thought, man, and it took them all day, they were there all day to load all this stuff in. And then it's like 3.5 hours and you're done, and maybe you could have spent, and I mean, like you said, if that's your ideal,
that's your ideal, go for it. But really I think that's the key, is getting couples to think about what is it that I really want? What's important to me? And where they can think about that, because then maybe I take from this, if this isn't that much, now we put that money more towards this, and that's what the focus, or no, I really want a videographer, or I really want, okay, well, if that's not, we can cut some of that and keep it more simple and elegant. And now you have more money to invest over there.
So talk about if couples want to use you guys, kind of when do they find you? When do you reach out? Kind of when does that process work? Kind of if you were working, like if I was getting married, how would I work with you guys, and how would that move?
It's actually changed within the last year and a half, because when we first started, we found that couples were booking with us anywhere from like 6 to 9 months before their wedding. But for all of our brides from this year, they've booked with us like a year and a half in advance. So, and that's the other thing we say, we do specialize in the day of, month of coordination, but we're available to our couples as soon as they book with us. So if they have questions, if they need vendor recommendations, if they just need a event because they need someone to talk to, like we're totally there for them. So it does help because they always have that. They can confide in us like, hey, I read about this, but I'm not really sure if I should be booking my DJ at this time, or is this something that should be included in the contract? So it's kind of nice for when they do book pretty early with us, but usually it's about a year out, I would say, 9 months to a year.
We do check-ins with them, once a month, or, every 2 months. We try to just, hey, how are things going? Some tell us, I haven't even thought about it. Okay, not a problem. Some say, I've got this. Keeping up with where they're at. And then, again, then we'll do a walkthrough with them. We want to schedule a venue walkthrough. If they book our main bitch package, that includes the decor inventory. We normally bring them in about 3 to 4 months before the wedding because we want to make sure what they're using for decor, and if we have it, if it's something we need to, think about getting or where we're going with it, then we do that venue walkthrough. Then we're going to reach out to those vendors, create that timeline, pull everything together. At that point, they should just be focusing on the little things about them and enjoying. Let us think about those little details that, we need to worry about.
Yeah, I think it's so helpful to have somebody that, that knows what they're doing to be able to ask questions, because it is like this whole, I think people think that they need to know a lot more about wedding planning. People don't, right? Correct. It's a whole new thing. And it's tough because people say when should I book my DJ or how much is stuff cost? I mean, I see all the time people asking about I have this much to spend for this or that, and that might be reasonable or it might not, and they don't even know, and so it is. I think, like you guys said, kind of doing those check-ins and having a sounding board,
yes.
And someone. Yes. I'm going to probably take you up and get your number, and I can call you and vent from time to time.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. That shoulder to cry on, absolutely.
But no, I think that's important. Kind of finally here, you guys talk about kind of launching the decor and stuff. What's the next kind of goals? What are we looking to accomplish in the next couple of years? Where do you guys kind of see things growing?
More coordinators on our team. That's another thing. It was, me, my mom, and my husband, Ryan, in the beginning. So now we do have 3 other coordinators we have on board. So we're getting them situated this year. And then
our long-term goal that was our short-term, which we're pretty much there. But our long-term goal is we want to have our own venue. Mm-hmm. We, doing this business, we've also watched, poor couples, they get a venue. Oh, can I use this? Can I use that? Oh, that'll be an extra charge. That'll be this. And we would really like to have that all-inclusive. You know what? You're going to pay... Maybe you're going to pay $12,000, $13,000, but you're going to get your bartender. You're going to get your, minister. You're going to get that's our ultimate goal, is to really have, but not just that low budget, but it could either be low or it could be at the high level, high end, or, depending on what your needs. And that is our true ultimate long-term goal. We want our own venue.
That's exciting. Are we? Are we starting footsteps on that, or how is that looking?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
not quite there. I say 2020 is the goal where we're going to start actually looking into that. This year, it's just making sure we have our whole team on board, feeling confident. We're still learning. We're still learning every day. Every wedding is a learning experience. Seriously. Education's been something that's always been important to me. And that's what I try to tell my whole team, don't ever feel like you're at a spot where you think you know it all, because there's always more that you can learn, always. So I think that we're just going to really focus, especially this year. We're kind of trying rebranding a little bit. We want to be more confident in our brand. It's kind of been back and forth since we've been trying to build things and figure out what we're trying to do, but branding, getting our team on board, and then 2020 we'll start looking into the venue possibilities. So yeah, but it's exciting.
Did you guys ever think, back when you were doing, your project management kind of coordination and medical assistant, all that you'd ever be kind of so deep in the wedding field now?
Oh, no.
Never crossed my mind. I probably still would have been working for the company, traveling the world, doing the thing. Wouldn't have never thought that at all. And I love it. The hardest decision I had ever made in my life. As a mother and an entrepreneur, it was the hardest decision, but best decision. And it was one of those things. Sometimes you just got to go for it, follow your dreams and go for it.
Yeah, and I just have to say, even with the past jobs that I've had, the feeling that I hated was knowing that for the rest of my life, Monday through Friday, I have to get up at 8 a.m. I'm going to end at 5 p.m. And now with the weddings, you would think after so many, people always ask me all the time, don't you get sick of the weddings? No. Every single wedding is different. It's different. Yeah, it might be similar in some ways, but I never wake up feeling like, man, I have to go to this wedding. It's always excitement. And that's what I love about it. On top of that, the wedding community itself with just the vendors,
yes.
I have to say, we've had some amazing vendors help us out along the way, and just those connections you build, the support in the wedding vendor community is awesome. Even you, I appreciate you so much. Yes. So thank you.
Yes, that's been a huge, we've added on a whole new wonderful family. We worked with Party on the Rocks, Jan and Claire, love them. They're another mom and mother duo. I think about Rich and George at Rainfire Ranch. We've become family, and joining in and having that. Brian, my perfect bartender, he was great in how we connected with him at a wedding, and now look at us. We're really close. Just having that family add-on just has been great, and we've looked totally forward, and we're looking forward to meeting so many more. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, perfect. This has been such a great talk. I want to thank you guys so much for coming in. If people want to learn more about you guys, your company, what you guys do, where would you have them check out?
They can check out www.bridesbitch.com.
This has been so enjoyable. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. Check back next week for another wedding vendor interview. Thanks so much.